countdown and everything.
I know. They didn't hear it though. 3, 2, 1.
Dangerously professional.
I find I keep doing that. It's very worrying. I don't quite know what it is. It has a long hair.
You're turning into a girl.
Turning into an elf.
You'll be doing the flicky.
But of course, the audio audience, who are the most important people, don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, it's the Grouchy.
He's flicking his hair, people, in a girly and a little bit irritating way. Let's see how it goes, shall we? If you hear a slap, that'll be me smacking his hand away.
I'm going to put out on my posters for something. Kate Copstick, he has hair. Anyway,
that's not what I said. I'm being misquoted. And not for the first time.
It's the Grouchy Club. It's the 6th of June, 2015. I'm sure one of us is going to get sued for slander or libel or something. Anyway, we were going to have to talk about Cowgatehead Gate, aren't we? Which is the venue in Edinburgh. If you don't know what's going on, dear listener, it's you'll have to read my increasingly prestigious blog.
Before we do that, can we address...
Oh, this is the Fringe programme she's holding up, dear listeners.
It only came out, Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Absolute bag of shite.
It's a sort of...
I'll take this away from my face. Absolute bag of shite. I mean, the Fringe programme's never exactly been a work of collectible art, except for some people, I suppose. But that is just... It's dreadful.
No, this has got to totally confuse
There are no rules, only exceptions. And exceptional acts challenging perceptions. Stand-ups standing up for what they believe. Uppercuts to the upper classes. Quick jabs at the masses. I mean, it's just... And basically, it also makes it sound like the entire festival, sorry to interrupt, is only stand-up. So yet again, the comics have managed to take over. It's dreadful.
I think some attempted a Louis McNeice or something.
It's absolutely awful.
But the
absolutely up itself, totally inaccurate. You on your are you going to have your marvellous blog,
increasingly prestigious,
blog. You had a guy, what's his name, who did the wonderful Hitler spoof Stu. What Stu? Why do you say Stu? Is he American?
No,
is he Jewish?
No.
Is he Louis Schaefer?
I'm sitting too close to Louis Schaefer. It's rubbed off on me.
Okay, so this Stuart person, he's done really quite a brilliant spoof, which is much better and indeed much more accurate than this. It's terrible.
Now, for the audio listeners, she was holding up the programme, which has got a sort of would-be poem on the front, and a vertical poem at odds with the whole design of the...
Dreadful.
Anyway, it's awful.
It's awful.
Anyway, so there's this awful Cowgatehead thing going on, which is, there's a thing called the Free Fringe, a thing called the Freestival, and they're having a battle over who owns the rights to put on shows.
Can I just interrupt you slightly?
First time.
We've only got about 4 listeners, and they all know.
We haven't got 4 listeners. We've got oodles of listeners.
Have we? I saw the thing. John sends me every week a thing about your figures, and while the week before last we had quite a good little tower. Yes, we had lots. It seemed to have petered away to almost nothing last week.
This isn't good for the Italian. We had the Italian.
No,
yesterday.
I know.
Yes,
I know. Maybe
sorry,
we had
Italians.
the Italians in there. I know, and others. We had. Lots of people. Sarah Chu. We had a cast of thousands.
Who's Sarah Chu?
The lady with the pillowy boobs and the long hair. Anyway, never mind. Who arrived to see Jacinto do his wonderful show. Carry on, John. Sorry, John.
Did you say long boobs and billowy hair? Was that?
Nope, billowy boobs.
Okay.
Pillowy boobs. Pillowy boobs.
Well, if I keep going like this, we might actually manage to avoid this.
No.
Cowgatehead. I was saying to Copstick, but it all revolves around people saying different things about the same event. And it involves a venue that's basically run by 3 people, all called Kenny War, and the building is actually owned by the people who own... Oh, I didn't even get into this.
Nope.
No.
It's a clusterfuck.
We have 2 lots of people anyway.
A continuing clusterfuck.
We have the PBH Free Fringe. PBH is Peter Buckley Hill, and on the opposing side, or complementary side, we have the Freestival, who used to be with PBH, but are no longer because he had an argument with him. And basically, this is the trouble with my increasing prestige of blog. You have to explain everything every time you blog. You do. So Freestival thought they had the venue, Cowgatehead, but they didn't. It was a verbal contract, if it was a contract at all. Then PBH comes along at the very last minute after the deadlines are finished and says, "Oh no, I've got the venue." And that's it, basically. You go.
But
now, I was saying before this started, and I think both Freestival and PBH are telling the truth. So Freestival is telling the truth, and they have things back it up, I have to say. So I believe Freestable are telling the total truth. I believe PBH is telling the total truth as he knows it. And he doesn't know everything, but he is telling the truth. Freestable is telling the truth, but someone is telling both those people different things and has promised those people different things. So it's neither of their faults, really.
So the piggy in the middle, the piggy in the middle is the Cowgatehead venue itself.
Oh, that's good. Now we can't defame the Cowgatehead venue.
No, the Cowgatehead venue itself,
right, okay, yes.
and or its representatives.
No, the Cowgatehead venue.
And
yes.
or owners and or licensees
no.
and or anybody. Let's spread are telling. In Caesar's Gallic Wars, one of my favourite books, they would say, "Ali alia dicunt." Some say one thing, some say another.
Did you say cunt?
Dicunt.
What's dicunt?
In say.
Yes.
In the third person plural. Some say one thing, some say another. One thing I do...
And didn't Caesar say Cowgatehead is divided into two parts? Was that him?
No, he never said that. That was Mark Antony. And we all know what happened to him. But one thing I do know, without shadow of a doubt, is that Peter Buckley Hill would never tell anything but the absolute truth. Okay.
As far as you know.
As far as he knows it.
Yeah.
And the fact that people keep twittering on, bleating on, some people bleating more than others, on the various fora about Peter Buckley Hill coming in at the last minute. The reason he didn't tell them until kind of more recently, tell the Cowgatehead people or the performers or anyone, was that he didn't know. He didn't, unlike some people, he didn't go, we had a pint and a chat and a bit of a sweaty handshake, and on that basis, we're going to go ahead, tell the world we're running it, book everybody. He waited until everything was signed, sealed, and delivered. And that it couldn't be signed, sealed, or delivered because, I don't know, licensees were changing over, or there was all of the bits of the jigsaw were not in place until the day that Peter Buckley Hill told the Freestival and everybody that they didn't have it. So he couldn't say before that because it wasn't true before that.
The other thing about this story is it's so complicated that you have to figure out what the key point is that everyone's talking about. And for me, the key point is the point at which Freestival said that they had arranged, and I believe that they had arranged, a meeting with the aforementioned licensee, not Tam McGraw, who's dead, who's a Glasgow gangster, but they'd arranged a meeting with the licensee and everyone else to talk to Peter Buckley Hill in London and sort it out on the basis that they would split the venue into two as they did last year. Now, Peter Buckley Hill then came along and said this wasn't the case, the licensee hadn't agreed this, and he wouldn't agree this. Now, I think they're both telling the truth, although they're conflicting statements.
So the licensee is telling one thing and one thing another. I think the lesson...
For legal reasons, I didn't say that. But the other thing...
but that is your considered opinion.
I believe they both think they're telling the truth.
Right. So I think the lesson for all of us to take from this is never attempt to do business with Kenny Wall. Any of them. I'm just saying that as my opinion, as an outsider.
And as a person who studied Scottish law. I should point out that the licensee is as well known in central Scotland as Tam McGraw, isn't he?
I have no idea who you're talking about. But they seem to be, as I say, flakier than flaky things stuck in the gob of a naked model in a bath, which is overflowing in a Cadbury's advert.
But the reason for me that this meeting that might not have been arranged but didn't happen because PBH wouldn't go to it.
God, I'm bored by this now.
Is that
Spit it out.
It's all detail, but at the point to which PBH didn't go to the meeting which he says wasn't happening, at that point, it became unavoidable that the acts would lose money. Before then, it wasn't unavoidable. So if that meeting did exist, and I believe that Freestival were told the meeting did exist, and if PBH had gone to that meeting, which I believe...
Yes, but the fact that Freestival might have been told it existed doesn't mean that it existed.
No, but the point, at that point, PBH, either decided not to go or couldn't go, and at that point, from then onwards, the acts were going to lose 77,000 quid plus.
If he was told that there was no meeting, what you're saying is that Freestival were told there was a meeting, PBH was told there wasn't a meeting.
Yes.
Therefore, he didn't decide not to go.
Well,
as far as he knew, there was no meeting.
There's also a complicated point about here.
I was sensing an anti-Peter Buckley Hill vibe from you, John, which frankly, I'm not prepared, up with which I will not put.
I think PBH started the Free Fringe, and that's a wonderful thing, and he's an altruistic man. And the trouble is he's turned bitter and wants revenge on the people he sees as having betrayed him. And that's why he wouldn't compromise. The compromise was...
But there was no compromise to be had.
There was a compromise. Even if only PBH had that venue into which he'd booked no one because there hadn't been time to book anyone, it's a moot point how many rooms are in this venue. Now, I have to say, I have seen things which allow me to say certainly that the Free Fringe admitted to and were prepared to have 6 Free Fringe venues in that building and 9 Freestival venues. The Free Fringe accepted that was the case, that there would be 9 Freestival venues. PBH is now saying there could never be 9, but the Free Fringe, in writing, said that it could be. So what we're talking about is we're talking about a building where there were 6 at the top, 9 at the bottom. That's 15 venues. Now, I don't know whether PBH has the whole building now or just the bottom half, but they're saying we've only got 6 venues, you can only have 6 venues. But let's assume that Freestival is saying you can have 9 venues, which I believe you can do. PBH is saying you can have 6 venues, which you can do. That means there are 3 venues going spare.
No, because those 3 venues would have to be built in.
Well, sorry, I don't mean going spare. I mean, they can't...
Can I just say I had so much more fun with Brendan Burns in the middle of the week. And I got cake.
Anyway, so there are 3 venues. Let's assume that there are 3 venues that don't exist. There are still 6 venues that exist. So PBH at that point could have said, I will honour 6 of the acts who've been booked into these 9 spaces, and I can't honour the other 3. Perfectly easy to do, but he didn't do that.
But he's honoured the bookings of loads of them. There's 50-odd acts have got their bookings.
He could have honoured the bookings of 100% of the people in those 6 spaces, and instead he's not honoured those.
Okay, another thing I'd like to point out. People keep talking about a compromise. Okay, a compromise is a middle way reached by 2 parties or more who each have kind of equal standing. In this case, they don't have equal standing because Peter Buckley Hill does actually have a legal contract done the proper way, and Freestival don't. They can't compromise. All that can happen is they could ask Peter to help them. I may be wrong. In fact, I probably am, but I think if Freestival hadn't continued to say, oh, we're the good guys, we're the good guys, we're the good guys, we're the good guys. Oh, well, here's a compromise. They are not in a position to offer a compromise. There is no compromise. What they can do is say, or what they could have done, was say, yeah, all right, we screwed up, we jumped the gun, will you help us? That's not saying we are offering Peter a compromise. They were, you understand? It might just be semantics. It might be legalities, but, that is the way the venue cookie crumbles. And my God, is it crumbling?
All right, so this is difficult to talk about. Okay.
You started it. I'm very happy to talk about other things.
The idea of splitting the venue...
My evening with Brendan Burns.
The idea of splitting the venue into 2, with Freestival having 9 or 6, but Freestival having half, and the Free Fringe having half, that's not a compromise. That was agreed and accepted and acknowledged by both sides in March. That was agreed, acknowledged, accepted by the Free Fringe in March.
Then why?
Now, Peter Buckley Hill may not know it was accepted on behalf of the Free Fringe, but it was accepted by the Free Fringe in March. The fact he doesn't know what's happening in his own organisation is another matter. No, we can't talk about that.
How could it possibly have been accepted by the Free Fringe in March and Peter Buckley Hill not know? And still not know?
You tell me.
And where's the proof?
It's on my computer.
Then I think, John, there's no point in, talking like this if you're not prepared to, shit or get off the pot. If I don't see this proof
you can see it
in your next blog,
you can see it afterwards.
if I don't see this proof in your next blog, I shall assume it doesn't exist. And I don't think that's too harsh a position to be taking.
You can see it afterwards. So you had a good night, did you? Was it a comic? When you say night,
No. Evening. I want to see it on your blog, your increasingly prestigious blog, or I will assume it doesn't exist.
It's not my place to put it on my blog, but that's a complication.
Well, whose place is it?
The people who supplied it to me.
You've gone all coy now.
I have gone all coy.
It's unbelievable. You are turning into a girl in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
First of all, you're twizzling your hair and whatnot. Now you've gone all coy and giggly.
Well, that's what comes to spending an evening with Lewis Schaefer in the dark in a theatre.
Oh dear. Why did you spend an evening with Lewis Schaefer in the dark in a theatre?
We got tickets for Jackie Mason.
Was he good?
He was 83. No, he was okay. His timing was slightly off, so the gaps between some of the routines were a little too long. But he's been doing those routines. They were all new material, supposedly. He's been doing routines for ages. So as people,
but timing is the essence of comedy. If his timing's off, he was shit. Why not just say he was shit?
No. I wasn't saying that. The timing of the routines were okay. The gaps between the routines were slightly odd.
What, when they kind of wheeled on the oxygen machine and revived him?
Yeah.
Right.
No, he was okay.
Do you think?
But never.
Do you think there's an age limit for stand-up? Assuming you can still stand up, do you think they should be allowed to go on forever?
Well, I saw Donny's been going on forever, and that's just in one show.
That's true. I see what you did there. Very funny. Very funny.
I saw Donny.
I'm not letting him off the hook on Freestable, by the way.
I saw Donny about 2 years ago, and I thought he was past his sell-by date. But I mean, he might have been having a bad night. Everyone else
I suppose
said
it's
very
like any
good.
performer, all the aged rockers that are carrying on. And
Yeah.
it's far better to leave him laughing and wanting more.
Well, Lewis Schaefer, see how fitted in there? Cleverly fitted him in?
Yeah.
58.
Is he?
Apparently, yes.
Well, he's wearing well.
I think so.
Bit of a silver fox now he's stopped dyeing his hair.
Wait, so I thought he shouldn't have stopped dyeing it. So I thought he should have kept his hair dyed, and all the girlies now find him terribly attractive for that silver fox reason.
What do you think Errol Oaken would look like if he stopped dyeing his hair?
Does he dye his hair?
Oh, Dr. John! I'm sorry. No. And Santa Claus is real, and there is a God.
I thought he let it out. No. We mustn't go there.
The bits around the edges are dyed. Anyway, moving on.
Sorry, Earl.
Yeah, I had...
She did it, it wasn't me.
I went and did a podcast
You did
with Brendan Burns. Hey, I tell you, I am ruined for our podcasting, John. He has a proper studio with like people on the desk, and they buzz you in, and he's got a technician and everything. And I got cake made by his wife.
Lewis Schaefer, his wife.
Yeah.
Lewis Schaefer has a radio show.
Yeah, I know. I've done it. Have you not done it?
I have done it.
You have to travel like to the other end of the world.
London Bridge. The centre of the original London.
I vaguely remembered it as having been further away than that. Oh yes, so it is. It's kind of Borough, isn't it?
Borough Market, which I believe was the original London, and not really London.
Yes,
anyway.
Okay, I take that back.
Good. Tell me about Brendan Burns. Who's Brendan Burns?
Brendan
for our
Burns
listeners?
he's a small but like he is.
Is he?
He's quite a short arse, isn't he?
Dear listeners, she said it, not me.
I think of him as being compact, like Phil Nicol and all that. No, I think of him all.
Okay. Ronnie Corbett.
No,
Brush.
we're not talking Tanya Lee Dip.
Sooty.
Now, stop press, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you having it off with Tanya Lee?
No! Although she's,
Well,
I love her little hands.
compact, yes.
She, having stormed the John Bishop show.
Oh, did she?
Oh,
great.
my gosh.
Well, she's
Hal
great.
Crittenden absolutely stormed
Yep.
it. She absolutely
Well,
stormed
both
it. She
great,
was
both great.
terrific. And John Bishop, a man, I think you'll agree, who knows about comedy,
Yep.
said to Tanya Lee's manager that Tanya Lee ought to be doing an Edinburgh show. Little bit late. So I was chatting to her, and I said half of Edinburgh is going to be full of shows that are not where they were meant to be, so no one really knows where they are. So if you come up late, kind of late doors with a show, then you'll be in the same boat as a lot of people getting by. And the way Edinburgh used to be word of mouth, I think good might come out of all this shit, which we're not going to go into again.
You've been
Which we're not going to go into again.
You've been drinking, haven't
No,
you?
I haven't.
You have.
Because
It's a way of life.
Because it's kind of thrown a lot, of shows and the timetable up in the air, and so we're going to be back to hopefully people recommending shows, one act hopefully like bigger acts recommending.
Yeah.
There used to be a really lovely thing that the bigger acts would recommend shows to their kind of massive audience, flyering in the street, more fringy stuff rather than going, well, I've got I'm in the programme and I've got posters, so I'll just sit there and then complain when the audience doesn't come in.
In fact, Christian Talbot did a piece in Chorlton.
Very nice.
Very nice piece.
Very nice piece.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, is Christian.
He is.
He was nominated for an increasingly prestigious Malcolm Hardy
He
Award.
was. I'm talking to him, Skyping him tomorrow.
What? Skyping? Or is he
He's
in
in Ireland.
Ireland?
And we can't call it Ulster. One of the counties he's in. But I can't remember what I'm talking to. I never know who I'm talking to about what, because I forget by the time.
Maybe
I
you
meet
should
them.
get his daughter.
That's partly that. Is his daughter, is it 13 or 14-year-old daughter, who won an increasingly prestigious Malcolm Hardy Award last year, is doing her own show, I believe. That's partly what I'm talking to.
Oh my God.
I believe so.
She's not, no, because there's another child doing stand-up.
That's Tanya Lee. No, unworthy of me. I'm terribly sorry, Tanya Lee.
so sorry. That was an appalling thing to say.
Yes.
That's an unforgivable thing to say.
It was.
Oh my,
Let's go back to Feaster. It's safer.
Oh no.
Anyway,
So there's a 9-year-old doing stand-up somewhere. But so she's doing...
I believe she's doing her own 60-minute show. I could be wrong. I'll know
Bloody
tomorrow.
hell.
I mean, poor old Janie Godley's daughter, Ashley Story, is being undercut because she did her show when she was 13. Now there are embryos doing the show.
Correct. But then she had such a long break from doing that first show to now when she's... in fact, if anybody
Very unladylike.
I need some advice on this. I am doing, because I'm scrabbling around for paying work, I'm doing a piece winningly entitled Top 10 Fringe Podcasts. Now,
Does the Grouchy Club get in there?
is it fair for me to put the Grouchy Club in there?
No, I don't think you can.
No. If I thought maybe just mentioning it in the introduction. Obviously, I can't mention the brilliant Grouchy Club podcast, and so here are the other top 10.
It's a feature as opposed to a list, is it?
Well, it's a list that is a feature.
I mean, you could actually say, and of course there is the Grouchy Club as well.
Of course. No, I'll say it right at the top.
Other podcasts are available, as you
Exactly.
say. Yes.
So obviously, Brendan's podcast is going to go in there. So if anyone's doing a podcast, Janie is doing her podcast.
Yes.
5 years, apparently. 5 years old, her podcast is.
I know, it's up to 100, whatever, yes.
She is at the Orange Fest today.
I know, I was quite shocked.
I cannot believe they've allowed that.
the Orange Fest being the sort of Glasgow Protestant Orange March.
Well, it's Glasgow always used to be known as Little Belfast.
Yeah.
It's like Belfast without the bombs. I mean, this is, many years ago at the height of the IRA sectarian problems in Northern Ireland. And the west of Scotland, not the east, only the west, has always had the same tradition of orange walks as the north of Ireland has. The orange lodges being, to my mind, extreme, to say nothing of unacceptably Protestant people who band themselves together into lodges. They have bands.
Like beavers.
They, I suppose, like slightly more colourful masons. They have lodges.
They do.
And anyway, every summer, I mean, I remember my childhood summers being disrupted because through up the main street in Paisley and all around, there was always an orange walk with they all had, especially the women, who had frocks and white hats, like white straw hats, and an orange sash, and they would be dragging their children with them. I wonder how the next generation turns into a bigot. Oh, could it be because mummy and daddy dragged me out on an orange walk shouting "fuck the Pope" for most of the summers in my childhood? But especially the women, they all had faces that looked like they'd been chipped out of granite. I mean, talk about, bulldog chewing a wasp. You just thought, I don't know what their religion is, but I don't want to have any part of it. So we all thought, everybody kind of thought that was fading away. And look, we're all becoming much more civilised. And all of a sudden, Glasgow has like a day of orange celebrations. It's horrendous. It'll be the Ku Klux Klan next.
I have to say, Janie and her daughter Ashley, I think, went to see it as a sociological exercise.
Oh, absolutely. She was periscoping from it.
Every 5 minutes I get a and spotted Janie periscoping. She must keep Periscope going. The other thing I don't understand is why there are in Northern Ireland there are orange marches, and in Glasgow there are orange walks. There must be some reason for this.
Yeah, they're just much more energetic in Northern Ireland. We just kind of shamble along. They've got the full marching, and we just kind of... No, I've got no idea. It's semantics, John, semantics.
But you're right.
Like the word truth, you know?
But I was trying to avoid in Janie's autobiography, no one ever really, I don't think anyone ever in England really picked up the sectarian element. There was,
oh my God. Scotland is so sectarian still. I mean,
I don't think I'm giving anything away when I said that Janie was once booked to play Northampton. No, Corby, I'm terribly sorry, Corby. Now, you know about Corby. Corby's full of Scottish steelworkers. And when she arrived, the bloke running the gig asked her, "Hello, do you walk or do you march?" In other words, do you walk... well, anyway, yes.
But when... I'm assuming it is still the case, but when I was at school, the schools were totally divided along Catholic Protestant lines. And when you met somebody that you didn't know, met somebody new, the conversation would always go, so what did you say your name was? And of course, if you said
McIver or something.
Well, if you said Knox, then they'd know you were a Protestant. And if you said Lynch, they'd know you were a Catholic. So I would say Copstick, and they'd be like, there'd be a beat, and then they would say, what's your name? And then where are you from? Paisley. And Paisley was kind of split right down the middle.
Because am I right that whereas in Northern Ireland they would ask you which area you came from, and it's split geographically, Catholic and Protestant, but that's not the case in Glasgow.
No, Paisley was split right down the middle. So that's why you get...
But you don't mean there was one half was Catholic and one half was Protestant with a line down the middle?
No. Just, as I say, the schools were completely segregated. They'd say, where'd you come from? Paisley. And then they'd say, what school did you go to? And then they would know finally. So except I said Paisley Grammar, where it was just the smart kids. It was supposed to be just the smart kids. But amazingly, at Paisley Grammar, all the smart kids were Protestant. Amazing, isn't it? But no, my best...
You better carry on with that. That sounds a bit dodgy.
No, but I know. It must have been dodgy. Nobody ever thought about it then. Yeah. But I didn't know anybody particularly bright, it has to be said, who went to St Margaret's, which was my best... Roisin Lynch, who was one of my best friends. Frida Corriere, Roisin Lynch.
Corriere?
Yeah.
Italian?
Scottish-Italian, yeah. There's millions of them. So they both went to St Margaret's. And I say I didn't ever meet anyone particularly brilliant who went there, but I find it extremely hard to believe that all the clever kids in the catchment area were Protestant. It's just too much of a coincidence.
So what do you think was being done?
Oh, I think they just didn't look at the feeder Catholic primaries. Because we were segregated from the word go. I don't know whether they thought, Catholicism was catching or something. Or just it's so much more attractive than Protestantism. It really is. You get to wear frocks and there's incense and you get to join in.
Oh, I hate all that.
Oh, I loved it when I went to my first Catholic Mass. Because much to my grandmother's horror...
You're not a Catholic?
No, much to my grandmother's horror, my great-aunt by marriage was a Catholic. And we went down to stay with her in Cornwall. My first time out of Scotland. And we went to a Mass. It was like, oh my God, it was like theatre. It was like going to the theatre. And we couldn't, because we were going to get to join in. And instead of a Protestant service, is more or less you sit there, you shut up, and the minister shouts at you and tells you what a sinner you are. And then that's kind of it.
Actually, I was brought up Presbyterian, so it's very, very, very low kirk, and nothing happens at all. There's no.
Yeah, but you get the minister shouts at you.
But no, none of mine was terribly nice. Our minister was terribly nice, very quiet.
I'm amazing he wasn't defrocked.
But I was brought up.
Nobody in Protestantism or Presbyterianism is very nice.
Well, that's Irish Presbyterianism.
No, you're dour
Also, I have
and convinced you're all doomed
Also, I have to say,
to burn in hell.
As fake Scot, of course, I was brought up in Ilford, so we're talking about a Presbyterian church in Ilford.
So,
But at school...
Not worthy of the name. Not worthy of the name.
At school at Ilford, we had to go across at Christmas and do a C of E service, Christmas service, and that seemed terribly high church to me, because there was incense, there was sort of you kneeling down and repeating things.
That's the thing. That is the thing my grandpa told me. You kneel down to pray, that's it, you're a Catholic. You might not call yourself a Catholic, but you're a Catholic if you kneel to pray.
Well, people kneel down just before they're beheaded by ISIS.
They suddenly convert to Catholicism. No, but they're not praying. They're gibbering and probably losing control of their bowels.
A detail I hadn't thought about, but almost certainly true. How are we doing for time? 30 minutes. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but it was like 29 and a half on you burbling your way through things that you can't mention to us or say for fear of legal repercussions about he and they who shall be nameless and possible things that are lurking on your hard drive, which you're hinting at but not prepared to publish. You're turning into a girl. A games playing, hair flicking girly.
Is that your definition of a girl? They play games?
Yeah. Blokes are kind of... You're just... That's it. You're hoping that people will forget, in their flurry of loathing for me being sexist again, that they'll forget all your bimblings about the Kenny Wars.
I'd just like to remind their listeners, and indeed viewers, that Copstick was saying all Catholics are thick. Can't mention it. And if you want to, she's in Shepherd's Bush at the Imam Abir Shara shop most days, available for assassination.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you carry on like this, I'm going to go and play with Brendan Burns.
Well, I'm sure you have played with Brendan Burns, haven't you?
Certainly, he's a happily married man whose wife makes wonderful cake.
Is he still a Christian?
Oh, is he a Christian?
Well, I missed him at this stage. Apparently, he went through a Christian phase for, I believe, a short period, possibly a long
Brendan,
period.
he wants me to come back and do another podcast. I shall ask him on your behalf.
Well, do, and then you could possibly kneel down and say things.
Steady.
Yes, that's the end of this podcast, because I don't know, I have no idea what's going on.